Yo guys, I made a new sexuality now, actually. It's called super straight, okay? Since straight people, or straight men as myself, I get called transphobic because I wouldn't date a trans woman. You know, they're like, would you date a trans woman? I'm like, no, why? That's a female. No, like, that's not a real woman.
Basically, all it means is that they don't want to date somebody that's trans.
This has inclined the edgy people of TikTok to coin the term super straight. I mean, they even made a flag for it.
It kind of made all the right people angry.
All right, lads, welcome back to yet another podcast. As always, it's an honor and privilege to be here. My name's Connor. The man to my virtual left is Trevor. First off, I guess we should kind of address the elephant in the room here. We took a month off.
Yeah, I had a lot of midterms to do, so there was that, and It sucked a lot. But we're back. We're going to be hopefully going consistently, except my exams are going to take a month. So
yeah, well, I think we're going to try to do one probably next week on March Madness, because as you know, Selection Sunday, and this is like the big time for gambling, right? So I'm ready to go.
Hey, maybe we'll make a bracket. That's what we'll do. We'll make a bracket.
That's true, eh?
That's what we'll do. That'll be our thing. We'll make a bracket together.
All right, we'll make a bracket. That sounds good. And then we'll probably, I'll bet some money. I don't know if you will, but
I will not. I'm a university student and I'm broke.
Anyways, let's get into today's podcast. So, I guess one of those weird things that kind of blows up on the internet every so often, but this one kind of struck my attention. For those of you who don't know,
and I think it struck everybody's attention. Really, I think this became like a massive thing. So. Connor, if you want to introduce it, unless they saw the intro, they probably.
I guess in the simple. Well, they already saw the intro, right? But we're gonna discuss about the Super Straight Alliance. It's something that formed from a guy named Kyle Royce on TikTok. Again, as you saw the video, we don't really need to go into too much detail from it. But it was kind of interesting because it kind of just set everyone off in a frenzy. And a lot of people said it was transphobic. A lot of people said it was, rude. Some people are trying to say it's from like a neo-Nazi hate group. Others saying it's like...
Yeah, I don't really get that one.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think there's a lot of people stretching for things that are just trying to hate on stuff. Maybe I don't really know. I haven't actually looked too much into it. I've read a couple articles, but... not enough to fully be educated in it. So it's an interesting topic.
It's just, it's one of those things where it's kind of like, okay, I kind of get his point. Because I honestly, I do understand his point, right? Because again, a lot of people get offended nowadays over what I see as harmless stuff. Some people, others say.
That's what I've kind of noticed, throughout the years, how sensitive people have gotten. When we were in elementary school and stuff, none of this stuff. There are obviously, homosexuals and transgender, but there wasn't too sensitive of a topic to talk about. Whereas now today it's become this thing where if you say something, you're deemed as a transphobic, or is that the right word? Just a bad person.
Transphobic. Yeah. That's the proper word for it. But so because of this, we thought it would be a good idea to bring in a special guest. Well, actually, we have two special guests to kind of just talk about this situation
and educate us as well. Teach us.
Well, and again, before we start this conversation, we just want to put kind of a disclaimer: we're not here to offend anyone. We're not here to make anyone angry or start another war on the internet. We're just actually here to kind of get their side of the story, and. So again, we have we're pleased to be joined by Lydia and Alex. Let's get into it. Without further ado. So I guess first off, we wanted, before we got in, again, obviously we brought you guys on this podcast because we wanted to talk about this whole kind of super straight movement that's going on in TikTok. But before we get into that, I want to just talk generally speaking about kind of LGBTQ, about the LGBTQ community, and just transgenderism, that kind of stuff. So yes, for sure. I know from some of the research I've done, there was a couple statistics that I saw that were kind of shocking to me that I didn't even realize. The biggest one that stood out to me, though, was in 2017, the unemployment rate of LGBTQ personnel was 13% in 2017, while the national average in America was only 4.3%. Can you just kind of talk about why that is, or why you guys think that is, and like how can we kind of fix it?
Well, it's definitely full-on discrimination.
It's definitely discrimination. We live in Canada ourselves, but I spent almost a year down in Detroit in 2015, and I can tell you for a fact that anytime I tried to get any work, the main question was, and they're not supposed to ask you this at all because it's illegal, but the main question always was, are you straight and do you believe in God? And the moment they found out that I was pansexual and non-binary,
any sort of small business,
like anything, like they just never call back. So I mean, it's complete and utter discrimination.
Not to say that everywhere is like that.
No, there's some places.
Yeah, of course.
It does seem like
there's
even
a lot
working here in Canada.
Yeah, there's places where we are, and we live in Newfoundland, which is a pretty accepting place. But even here, I've found discrimination in workplaces.
Yeah, I've seen it. Just like a gay man getting discriminated against because he's flamboyantly gay.
Yeah.
And people just don't like him because of that. Like,
I actually have a story I wanted to share with you guys about one of my former head chefs. I'm a chef myself. One of my former head chefs actually had to be fired due to the fact that we could not be open about our sexualities in the kitchen. The moment he found out one of our servers was gay, he began hating on this poor boy, like to the point where he couldn't come to work. He quit.
Yeah.
And luckily he came back after he got fired, and the lawyers and that got involved.
Yeah, that guy was not a good person.
It happens everywhere, and it's sickening. It shouldn't happen. We're people just like everyone else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, of course.
Yeah, I know. I you know, you hear stories about that, and it's unfortunate, right? Because I mean, it really is. It's you know, I don't necessarily believe that, like, it's not the kid's fault, right? At the end of the day.
Exactly.
No, like
you're born the way you're born. I mean, everybody
should be allowed to be open about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, it's like in like today's world, it's like you can't really even as a straight man, like in a man's world, you can't even admit that you have mental issues without someone just coming down on you, like saying that you're weak or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just that kind of thing.
Anyways, moving on. I don't know. I'm assuming you guys are aware of someone by the name of Ben Shapiro. He again has his own show. He's been kind of, I guess, I don't know what you want to call him, like a political activist kind of thing. Anyways, he said that in a conference in 2017, he said, quote, "The normal suicide rate across the United States is 4%. The suicide rate in the transgender community is 40%.
Yep.
The idea that 36% more transgender people are committing suicide is because people are being mean to them is ridiculous.
Yep. It's like a bullying. It's
by
bullying.
science.
Yeah, they refuse. These people I've seen bullying. They refuse to look at research. They claim that you are what you're born as, and that's it, and anything else is a mutilation to your body, and that's what they believe. They truly believe that, and that's like they're not looking up they're not sourcing any information. It's just purely discrimination, right?
Okay, I don't want to get too involved in something like this, but to be honest with you, if in my eyes anyways, and again, I don't know, like this is 4 years ago, right? Things could have changed, and I'm not saying it's completely written in stone, but from the research I've done, I can't actually find any like scientific evidence backed by this. So in my humble opinion, I kind of agree with this, to be honest with you. Mainly because like I feel like, again, bullying is a problem. I don't condemn bullying in any way, but at the same time, I feel like the main reason why people get bullied is because they're different in some way. And again, I don't agree with it. I think you should have the freedom to express who you want to be and what you want to be. But
Yeah, for sure.
I just don't think that, you know, because you're transgender, you're going to be bullied more than someone who maybe wears glasses or someone, you know what I mean? Like, it's not in a rude way, but do you kind of get the point I'm saying?
I do, and I actually have permission from our partner and one of our close friends to share their experiences with you guys on that topic, on bullying, and how it affects them on the daily. We'll start with one. She lives in Texas. I will not say her name for privacy reasons, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
But she lives in Texas, and every day she steps outside her door, she is terrified that someone is going to physically harm her because she is transgendered.
Yeah.
She goes into the bathroom, the female bathroom, same bathroom I go into, and there's people telling her to get out.
Yeah.
Just because she hasn't had bottom surgery.
These are also the places that are trying to take away
take away trans people's rights,
like doctors ability to help transgender children, right? These are the same areas, but go on.
I myself am part of the transgender community. I am not on hormones, but I am gender fluid, non-binary. For a year and a half, almost 2 years, when I was 16, I was on testosterone because I did believe I was transgendered. People sometimes change their gender. Gender is a wide spectrum that is constantly changing. Constantly. Every time I stepped outside my door and went to school, I came home bloodied and bruised because I was part of the transgendered community. It may not seem like it's happening because the media likes to hide it. TikTok especially, they take down so much of our voices, and we show how badly that it happened, that we're bullied and harassed, and TikTok takes it down.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
On the daily, there are trans people around the world, and not just trans, but gay, lesbian, whatever, that are murdered and beaten because they are trans or gay.
Because people don't understand it,
and they're too.
And they're scared.
They're scared. Yeah, they don't want to understand.
It's what it's fear.
It's a fear of the unknown, and I do understand a fear of the unknown. I have a lot of weird phobias myself, but it's a genuine fear, and sadly, the media takes away what actually happens to us. There was a point I was hospitalized because a bully threw me down a flight of stairs because I was in the hallway taking my tea shot.
Well,
so I mean, it's very real. And it happened every single day.
Yeah.
I think I can speak on behalf of both of us when, I guess we want to apologize because, no one deserves.
No, that's okay. Do you have any transgender friends or anything like that?
Actually, I won't say, but I have a family member who's going through things in the LGBT community. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it's if it's only recently that's happened, you'll
begin to see the hatred that if they're lucky, they might not get it.
They might, I have been lucky since I came out as non-binary to certain people that nobody has.
You've been lucky, but you might start seeing your family member might start receiving that hate, and then you'll be able to see firsthand what actually happens to those of us in the LGBTQIA+ community.
Mm-hmm. Kind of shifting gears here. So I kind of wanted to ask this question because I feel really passionate about these kind of topics. So my question is, why do you think it's so hard for people to talk about these things of being part of the LGBT community and, being transgender and all of these things?
It's a stigma.
Well, for one, it's a social stigma. People are really sensitive too, especially in the LGBTQ community. Because they have been bullied a lot, and they just
we're scared,
and they're scared, and other people that don't understand it don't really want to learn. They don't want to educate themselves. They're just told something years and years ago.
A lot of it does come down to religious beliefs as well. Now, everybody's allowed to believe whatever they want to believe.
Yeah.
You do you.
I don't contrast with other people.
I don't care what you believe in, but your beliefs should not go against someone else's. That's the only part that I don't think is right. That your God should not believe that because of what your God is deity, whatever it is you believe in. You can believe in the flying spaghetti monster and I'll still respect you. Mm-hmm. But your beliefs should not
hinder that.
Hinder mine. Like, you shouldn't condemn me for what I believe in.
Shouldn't hinder your ability to educate yourself.
Exactly. Like, you should be able to be open-minded and look at the things you're given, and it's okay to not accept it. It's okay to have preferences and likes and dislikes.
Yeah.
But it's not okay to spread hate.
Yeah, to bully someone because of it.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's why it comes down to people not wanting to learn, and their religion sadly being drilled into their head to the point.
Or just the social
construct.
Yeah, it's the social construct of like boys have to be like males and girls have to be females, and that's just not really how it is anymore. Like, it's newly discovered science that gender and sex are separate.
They're two completely different things.
And when it comes to gender, it's how you feel, and the sex is your organs themselves, right? And people with gender dysphoria have they have, like, gender dysphoria is it's
a weird place to be. I myself deal with gender dysphoria. Like, today I'm looking very feminine. I can wake up some days and honestly wish I looked like you guys.
Yeah, right? Right? You know? That's just how it is. And
people don't understand that.
You don't want to be inside your body. At the same time, these people are telling you that you're wrong for who you are.
Because they don't understand, and they honestly aren't willing to understand. Because, like, some places, some cultures are taught certain ways, some religions are taught certain ways.
Yeah.
But again, it should always come down to you shouldn't hate based on fact and preference.
Yeah, you shouldn't hate.
Yeah. Just going off of my question earlier about having that fear to talk about, the LGBTQ, do you think it's because of this new stigma of cancel culture? For example, the other day, a YouTuber, KSI, accidentally said a transgender slur that he didn't know. And instead of people trying to teach him, they rather just like insult him online. So how do you think that kind of ties into why people won't talk about it?
For today's day and age, yes.
I think a lot of people associated with the LGBTQ are associated with cancel culture. And when it comes to cancel culture,
I don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't like it either.
Yeah, I hate it.
I think it's a very negative movement.
It is.
Like, we should have like accountability culture, like where people,
education culture.
That's what I was thinking. Instead of trying to cancel these people and ruin their careers and lives.
Hold them accountable for their wrongdoings.
Oh yeah, no, of course. But instead of hating, why don't you teach them?
That's exactly it.
Just
teach, educate.
But don't hate them if they decide to educate themselves.
Exactly. There's too much hate going on in the world, especially with the pandemic happening right now. Mm-hmm. We all need to be able to support and love one another and forgive and forget and work towards a future that just maybe I can be proud to raise children and say that everybody is accepted no matter who or what you are, as long as you don't cross that line we never cross.
Mm-hmm.
We're all going to need to live peacefully together eventually.
Like, the world is going to have to be peaceful eventually, right?
Unfortunately, it does seem like this super straight movement is just pushing the transgender community right down into the dirt, though.
Yep.
It's like they're using the our logic against us kind of deal. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they're acting like they're oppressed because they're labeled as transphobic by being conditioned into saying that they don't want to date transgender people, which is fine, but nobody asked. Nobody asked if you want to date a trans. You're just saying it. Like, if you openly state what you don't like, and you don't like anything, any preference, it could be skin color, it can be culture, it could be religion, that makes you a bigot in any way. If you actively voice your dislike for something, for a certain type of person,
hatefully,
that's just it's bigotry. It's just straight up bigotry, and in this case, it's transphobia. Right.
So before we get into this super straight movement, I had one more thing that I wanted to talk about.
Sure.
Now, before
they're very passionate.
Yeah, no worries. We're gonna get into this, and this is
exactly what we wanted.
We're gonna learn together. That's gonna.
But some of the research I did actually before this podcast I found out that, like, in all honesty, I learned more in like the last 24 hours doing my own research than I have in, 12 years of school.
And we greatly appreciate you doing that research.
We found that 20% of people who have, well, I guess, okay, sorry, before I get into that, I guess there's levels of transgenderism, right? So
Yes.
certain people can be transgender, but they can have different, aspects and certain stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Like us, we're part of the transgender community, but we're not on hormones.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So
We're not minor.
one of the shocking things I found, though, was going on my topic before when I said, was it 40% of transgender personnel attempt or commit suicide, which is, again, I feel like that's a serious problem.
Right.
Another thing I found was 20% of people who've had sex change surgery or gender reassignment surgery, also known as GRS, say they regret it. 40% attempt suicide after the procedure. Now, in order to have GRS, you have to have or be on hormone or testosterone therapy, as some may call it, for at least 12 months.
Yes.
Now, again, I'm completely fine with gender reassignment surgery. At the end of the day, I think it's something that if you're going to go through, it's to make you happy at the end of the day. So I have no problem with it, right? But I think that 1 year on testosterone or 1 year on hormone therapy, I think that's too short. Personally, I say
I
agree.
I
It
think
could
you
be.
should be on it for-
I mean, how long does it take for a young boy to go through puberty? It takes years.
It takes up to 5-6 years for a male or a female to go through puberty in itself. And I do agree with what you say. I think they should be on HRT or T, your hormone therapy, for at least 24 months, 24 to 36 months at least, so you genuinely know and feel that's what you want.
Like you're desperate for the surgery.
Exactly. Like I know if I had gotten the surgery, like my bottom surgery, I would have regretted it. I would have, because I learned to accept myself.
It takes a long time.
It does take
to
a
figure out
long time.
Who you are.
I'm 30 now, and I'm still figuring out who I am.
Yeah.
Like, I believe it should be at least 2 to 2.5 years that you are on your hormone therapy, going through your therapy sessions, going through everything you need to go through to ensure that this is 100% what you want. Because you can be on hormone therapy for the rest of your life and never get your reassignment surgery. And you know what?
You're still a woman.
Yeah, still perfectly fine. You are still a woman, and you are still a man, and I will still love and respect you for exactly who and what you
Your
are.
sex organs are separated
From your gender. Like, I don't care what's in your pants. You could have a goblin in your pants, and I'll still cuddle you. You know, that's just it. Like, I don't care. I just want you happy. That's the way I look at it.
All right. Well, let's get into this super straight alliance or movement thing, because that's actually why we had you on the podcast, was to kind of talk about this subject.
Can we take a 2-second break?
Sure. So, again, as I know everybody here is aware, there is a large movement started by a guy by the name of Kyle Royce. He didn't
actually start it.
Yeah, he started what is called a super straight movement. Now, again, we showed the video at the start of the podcast. Some people believe it started from a neo-Nazi organization. Others believe it's just straight up transphobic. So can you guys just give me like your just straight up opinions on this? What do you think is good? What do you think is wrong? Like, just give me your opinion straight up.
I'll start, and then I'll let Alex take it. Excuse me, sorry. So I've done a lot of research on this because I am part of the trans community. Our partner is a trans gentleman and part of the trans community, so it's something we're extremely passionate about. And okay, if you can't find it anymore because Reddit and 4chan have deleted it, but I have part of it right here. It started, I'm not sure how well you guys can see that. I'll send you guys the link afterwards, but it started on a neo-Nazi 4chan page that was shut down by 4chan. Any symbol that have the SS associated with this, and I know someone who is a German history major, and they confirmed this. Any symbol with those two S's in either direction is associated with neo-Nazism. It's associated with white supremacy, and it's saddening. And like I was talking earlier about how I dealt with hate from these people. I recently put up a video supporting the trans community because in Alabama and places like that, they took away people's ability under the age of 21 to get any hormone therapy at all. And that's going to drive the suicide rate through the roof.
Yeah.
Through the roof. So I posted a video spreading awareness to try and help. Like, Newfoundland does amnesty for that sort of stuff. So I was like, hey, if anybody needs help, I was like, if anybody needs help, I can get you links. I can get you information. We can get you safe. That kind of deal. And the next thing I know, there's a whole bunch of these profiles with this flag coming up telling me I'm going to put up a trigger warning here, verbal trigger warning. I had multiple people with the super straight profile picture and bio tell me to unalive myself. And me and my partner should unalive ourselves because we're part of the trans community. And that's what unalive means. It's a trigger warning, but I'll still say unalive because some people might not like it. But I mean, and that brought me to a point where I have severe mental issues because of like just a whole bunch of trauma that we're not going to get into. But that brought me to a point where I was on my bed, on my day bed on the floor, contemplating trigger warning, self-harm, because these people are pushing and telling me that I'm a monster, that I'm a mistake, that I don't belong in this world.
And then when we say you're not, you take over. When we say you're like they claim that it's a sexuality, and we say no, it's not, and then they say stop invalidating my sexuality. You're oppressing me. Like it's like they're trying to use their logic, like our logic. So they're not oppressed in any way. The only way they're oppressed is by saying they are. There's no oppression in any way. They just don't want to date a trans person, which is fine.
You just can't spread hate. Like, it's all right to have preferences. It's all right to be cis and heterosexual. One of my best friends since I was 10 years old is a cis hetero woman. But the super straights don't deem her a woman because she can't have children.
Yeah.
In their eyes, the only thing that makes you a woman is to be able to have children. To procreate. I had to have my tubes tied. I guess I'm not a woman in their eyes anymore either. Even though I have all the chromosomes and all the things. Sorry,
no worries. You can take your time.
Yeah, take your time. No worries.
Like in 2021, am I wrong? But it all you need to do is say that you're a woman or a man for it to be true. Right? That's like all you need to do is identify as that, right?
I don't mean to be rude or like start a big war with you, but I think that's kind of a controversial statement in my opinion.
It is.
The reason being is because I've seen examples of this where, and I've actually experienced this myself. So I'll tell you a little story. It'll be super quick. But last year, I was at a restaurant with my family. Just simply went into the washroom, right? And I saw there was a line for the women's washroom. That's fine. I walked in. I was the only man in there, and a woman came into the men's washroom, and it was a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of uncomfortable. It was a little bit weird. I was like, okay, I don't know what she's doing here.
I'm guilty of doing that.
Yeah, so I asked her. I'm like, what are you doing here? And she's like, the women's washroom was too. It was full. Like the line was too long. If anyone asks, I'm transgender. And then
that's wrong.
That is absolutely
wrong.
But what's stopping her from doing that, though? That's the question. Like nothing's stopping her from doing that because people have kind of drilled it into everyone's brains.
When it comes to public washrooms, you run the risk of meeting anybody that harms you. Regardless of gender. Like I could go into a man's washroom and a man could hurt me, and I
could walk into the women's washroom and get stabbed for all I know.
It doesn't really make a difference. Like if it was socialized into us to have unisex washrooms, this wouldn't not
exactly. Personally, a bathroom is a bathroom, and everybody has to go to the bathroom. Yeah. Bathrooms should never have been gendered. Never.
Yeah, no.
It's a
I know
bathroom.
in some countries they have a hole in the middle.
They have a hole in the ground that everyone shares.
Yeah,
Like, why were bathrooms ever gendered?
right.
I think it was for that stigma of safety, because like you mentioned, like
For sure,
you don't know who's going to be in there. Like, let's say Connor was, a complete creep, and that woman just, I mean, Connor's pretty weird, but I mean, at least he's not on that level of, you know what I'm trying to say.
It does raise more of a risk. Yes, I understand that, but like,
it does also like raise a level of equality.
It does raise the level of equality as well, because like I could walk, like, I try and spread positivity, I try and spread love, but you guys don't know me from Joe down the road, and I could walk into the bathroom with a knife. If anybody could do it, anybody at all. It shouldn't be. The level of danger you have shouldn't be based on your gender either. Yeah. Everything's been gendered, and it's just like, why?
It's pretty harsh.
I think there's a big difference between being uncomfortable and actually harming someone, right? Like you said, you could get stabbed, same as I could get stabbed in a public washroom. Anybody can, right? And that's harmful, not only illegal, but you're probably going to go to jail if you get caught. But that was just more uncomfortable. I don't think that was illegal. She didn't harm me in any way.
Exactly.
You're allowed to feel very controversial.
You're allowed to feel uncomfortable.
It's definitely a controversial issue because unisex bathrooms should be a thing. And like I said, if they were a thing, 10 years down the line, a guy like you wouldn't feel uncomfortable of a woman going in and being like, oh yeah, the
bathroom's long.
It just wouldn't.
I understand the uncomfortability as well.
Because it's new.
It's new. It's a new thing. Everyone's allowed to be uncomfortable.
As we said before, the guy who started this, like when I first heard about this super straight alliance, I don't know if anybody else kind of felt this way, but I didn't see really the harm in it, in all honesty. I kind of thought it was like, yeah, okay, I think it's just some kind of stupid kid made something kind of funny and it kind of blew up. I didn't think that this was really harmful. I didn't think like what he said was like, I mean, I admit he did say one line where he said, I don't believe like transgender females are like real females or something. And that's where I think people.
Yeah, that's where the transphobia is.
But generally speaking, like his whole point, I didn't really see the harm in it. I kind of like, in all honesty, I kind of get where he's coming from because it's so easy to offend people nowadays. You think like I'm kind of crazy for thinking that?
No. I agree that people are easily offended nowadays, and they should only take offense when it's purposely directed at them.
When it's affecting them.
Yes, when it's only, they shouldn't get offended at just nothing. Cancel culture is not a good movement. It's definitely a bad movement. It's harmful. But when it comes to the super straight movement, I've commented on TikTok with a few of these people. I've had conversations with these people, and they claim they're not transphobic. And I'm like, okay. So then I coax some more conversation out of them, and I'm like, do you think transgender women are real women? And they say no. They always say that they're mutilating their body, and they're not. They're pretending. They're pretenders.
Like I stated before, you could do the research, but the 4chan page and the Reddit page have both been deleted, but you can find news articles about it. I've got a link I'm going to send you. Cat's trying to calm me down. Basically, it started as a neo-Nazi movement, and then this Kylo person, he's transphobic. He admitted it before and on newscasts. He's like, oh, I'm transphobic. I'm not ashamed of it, blah, 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 blah. I don't even, like, he's not a blip on the radar, to be blatantly honest with you. He probably just started it as a stupid little meme thing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't think this was supposed to get as much attention as it did, but due to the responses that it got from people, and people saw it, just created it much larger.
Like, I feel bad for the kid getting the amount of hate that he's getting, because nobody...
He went viral.
Like, he went viral fast, and nobody deserves to be bullied or hated.
No.
Nobody. Like, it doesn't matter what your beliefs are. It doesn't matter what your preferences are. Nobody deserves to be bullied or hated.
That's exactly
but what happened with this whole movement thing is a whole bunch of transphobes got a hold of it.
And it's trying to justify their transphobia.
And that's what they're trying to do. The
by not
transphobes
calling it transphobia.
got a hold of it, and that's it. They're trying to justify their transphobia by calling it a sexuality.
And then we say it's transphobia, and they're like, you're oppressing our sexuality.
But when we ask them straight up, okay, well, would you date someone post-op? Would you date someone who's had gender reassignment surgery and they have all the female or male parts? No. They don't have the chromosomes.
Well, will you call them a woman if they ask you to?
No, I won't. They're a man. Like that's what happened.
I should say though, like punitive legislation says that like no one actually had, like legally speaking, again, it's like disrespectful, but legally speaking, you don't have to refer, if you're a transgender female, technically speaking, you can refer to them as, you know, a guy or a girl. It's completely legal to do both. It's disrespectful, but it's completely.
Yeah, it comes down to respect.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to, is respect. And respect is a huge thing, because if you want to be given respect, you have to give respect to other people. You can't just expect it. So I mean, like, I've started doing this thing where I prefer to be called they, them. I don't mind he, him. She, her is a little annoying, but I've got huge coconuts. I expect people to call me she, her. I'm non-binary, but nobody believes me. But that's like, what was I saying?
LOL.
I lost my train of thought. Sorry, I actually have a brain memory issue.
No worries. No
All
worries.
good. It's all good. No worries. We're not very serious on this podcast.
Yeah, no, we're really hard to offend in general.
Oh yeah, we're just hard to offend in general.
I am firmly in my belief that when it comes to offense, you should really look for people that are trying to hurt you. They're actively, maliciously trying to hurt you.
I remember what I was saying. Thank you. Everything comes down to respect. Like I said, you're allowed to do whatever you want. You can like what you want. You can dislike what you dislike. It don't matter. What matters is you can't look at someone and unvalidate their emotions. Tell them that they're wrong just because it's not what you believe in.
Yeah. There's science that backs transgender and non-binary genders. Like, there is science that backs it.
Coming out now.
That's coming out now. It's only new. Like, it's all brand new.
Okay, if these super straights, whatever they want to call themselves, weren't so hateful, and they weren't transphobic, and they actually would date somebody who was post-office, you're allowed to not want to date somebody pre-op, like I was saying before. You're allowed to be straight. You're allowed to do whatever.
You're allowed to not want to date somebody post-op.
Exactly. You're allowed to not want to date.
Transgender women are a classification of women. They are transgender women.
Well,
but you can't be disrespectful. You can't look at them and say, you're disgusting. You're not real.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I think there's a big kind of misconception, though, because I don't think everybody in this super straight alliance or who's with this super straight alliance is transphobic or like is
no, definitely not. I will admit firsthand, I have met a couple with the flag in their profile that have no idea what it's actually based around.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I believe I don't want to expose myself right now, but there's logos for
other websites, let's just say.
Yeah, that have that color scheme, and that's where I believe that the flag came from. If you're catching my wave.
Yeah. Oh, we know exactly what you mean, honey.
So that's personally where I thought it came from, and that's why I thought
I honestly thought it came from Grindr. I was like, wait, are people being more openly about the fact that they're on Grindr now? What?
It's just like, why do you make attention to the fact that you dislike a specific type of woman? It screams a lot about your character.
It does. But I was gonna say though, like a lot of the people I've come across, a couple people with the super straight flag, who just literally thought it was an innocent movement. And I've said to them, okay, do you consider a trans person a man or a woman? They're like, yeah, they are a man or a woman. You know, like a lot of them
just won't date one.
Just won't date, and you're allowed to not want to date.
Them, like you can be friends with them. Just don't
be hateful. They don't. And when I explain to them, or when other people I know have explained to them, like, hey, it's kind of really hateful. A lot of people in the movement are transphobes. They're like, oh my god, I had no idea, and they'll change their their picture. They'll take super straight out of their bio because they don't really want to be associated with the hate. A lot of them don't understand where it comes from, and a lot of them are extremely innocent. So I try not to lump. It's viral. I try not to lump them all into the same before I lump someone into the bad side of the super straights, because there's a bad side of the LGBTQ as well. And there's a bad side to everything.
Mm-hmm.
I try and get some information. I try and talk to them on a human level before making any judgment on them, because they could just be uneducated and willing to learn.
Yeah.
You know?
It's definitely one of those things. It's like
it's a gray area.
It's a ginormous troll that we should.
Exactly. We shouldn't feed the giant troll that is sitting in the dungeon right now. That's just it. Do not feed the troll dungeon.
It will go away.
That's what we gotta do. We gotta not feed the troll dungeon. The dungeon troll. I can't English.
No worries.
Don't feed the dungeon troll.
Oh.
That's how we feel anyway.
So kind of taking a swerve a bit from the super straight organization or whatever you want to call them. One of you, I forget whom, but mentioned the ability to like essentially be able to joke with one another. So as a fan of stand-up comedy, how do you feel about, for example, Dave Chappelle making a transgender joke? How do you feel about that? If it's coming off as...
I heard that joke, and I'm pretty sure that was like misconstrued. I'm pretty sure.
I love Dave Chappelle.
That joke wasn't again. I forget what it was. Do you remember exactly what the joke was?
I don't, but it was from his Netflix special like last year.
I remember watching it, and I was like, yeah, that's not as bad as everyone's making.
I didn't understand why everyone was getting so mad. I love Dave Chappelle.
Mm-hmm. I'm a big Dave Chappelle fan as well. I love stand up. It's on my bucket list to do.
Right?
I love stand-up. Firm believer that when it comes to comedy, like you only really have like the ability to make fun of yourself and like things that you like
associate with,
identify with. Like,
for all we know, Dave Chappelle has a transgendered best friend or a transgendered family member and got this person's A-OK to make these jokes because it's a part of his life. Exactly, but like it could be very relevant to his life, and everyone's just like, it's like on cancel. No, just laugh and walk away.
I've seen like a few people with like Tourette's, and
they make fun of their own stuff.
They're Tourette's, and it's funny, but if like a guy like me went on stage doing that,
that's wrong.
That is completely wrong. Don't do that.
But unless someone, your best friend with Tourette's, is giving
no, not even. No.
Yeah, it's a controversial area, but comedy is comedy.
Yeah.
Comedy is meant to be taken lightly, and I'm sorry, there are way worse comedians out there. They should have listened to Andrew Dice Clay if they had a problem with Dave Chappelle. Like
that's the thing. Like if you're just, it's you gotta know like if people are malicious with intent.
Yeah, and I mean a comedian is not going to be malicious with their jokes. You can tell if they're trying to be malicious.
Yeah.
But he's just trying to make a laugh. Get people like us in the community to have a laugh, to feel included. That's all it is.
I forget the joke though.
That's the thing. We forget the joke. It wasn't even that important, and people are getting hung up over it. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Bias.
All right.
It's a
right.
Well, I was a little bit hesitant to ask this question, but to be honest with you, you guys seem pretty cool, so I'm just gonna drop this bomb on you. So, in the simplest terms, most convenient definition, do you believe that there are more than two genders?
yes.
Yes, for sure.
For sure. Gender is a giant spectrum. Gender is ever changing.
So there's two ends to the spectrum.
Yes.
And there's male and female.
Those are the end pieces. Like, you know how you got your bookends to hold your books in place?
Mm-hmm.
Male is on one end, female is on the other.
And people are born binary males and females. And on average, most people are.
Most people.
Yes.
Like, I'm a female at birth, an AFAB. So I'd be over here.
And I'm a male at birth, so I'm on the other end. And it takes a long time to really discover if you like. It's hard to explain.
It
like,
really is,
because it's gender is all it's all on inside. It's a mental thing.
Gender is all based on your mentality. Yeah,
like sex organs and gender are separate. I said it for this third time.
Just science and medical professionals have actually recently come out that Your gender has nothing to do with your sex organ.
Yeah, like
So everything in between those two bookends is a valid gender. Unless you're a pedosexual, I will smack a pedosexual.
that's
Just
not
put that out there.
Okay, very quickly, can you guys, I guess, differ what is the difference between sex and gender then, or is there a difference?
So the difference between sex and gender is sex is biologically predetermined, and you have your sex organs. Like you are a man, and I'm a man at birth.
And I'm a woman at
And
birth.
some people are born with both. They're hermaphrodites, right? But when it comes to gender, it is there.
And also your chromosomes and your
That's the sex is based off your chromosomes.
Yeah.
And no, gender is based off your chromosomes too.
There's two types of it. Your gender is based off the chromosome that comes from the female parental, or your sex. Sorry, your gender itself can actually switch.
Yeah.
You can have two X chromosomes and be born a female, but halfway through your gestation in the womb, one of your X chromosomes can switch to Y, but your sex organs has already been developed. But in your mental state, you're developing as the opposite chromosome.
Yeah, and I also read in a study somewhere else that when it comes to like being feminine and masculine traits, people like it's not a section in the brain that's developed until later in life.
Yeah.
It's socialized into children. So like being feminine and masculine is actually more socialized than actually
It's a social construct.
determined at birth.
Well, because like I said, it comes down to
That's why they separate.
Yeah, that's why they're separating it now, because you can be born with a female's body, but when you're at a certain gestation age, when you're being developed in the womb, another one of your chromosomes can completely switch. But where you've already developed your sex organs, your mind and your body are two completely different genders.
And people will develop these feminine features
Because of it.
Because of it, like bigger, wider hips and
Yep.
like broader shoulders.
I have broader shoulders, and I can grow a mustache because one of my chromosomes switched.
Okay, so you guys just
really
to
know for sure because we don't get our chromosomes. I'm sorry.
He talks a lot.
just to confirm, you guys are agreeing that there are two sexes, but there are more than two genders.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There are
Well, technically, there's three sexes: male, female, hermaphrodite, because you can be born with both sex organs.
Yes.
But yes, there are two sexes.
But they are connected. Gender and sex are connected.
In a way.
They are connected, but they're not the same thing.
Can you elaborate on that then? Because
okay. So when it comes to say someone like a trans person, they're female and they want to be a male. They have gender dysphoria, which is classified as a sexual health condition, not a mental health condition.
It's a
sexual health condition that has symptoms of body dysphoria, and to fix these symptoms, you transition, you change your sex organs to match your gender. That is a mental thing, and the sex organs is a physical thing, and your physical and mental thing have to match up. Or else you're going to feel completely dysphoric.
That's how they connect.
That's how they connect, because your physical and mental, there's obviously.
Yeah, it's a really hard thing to explain because every single person goes through it differently. Every single person goes through dysphoria differently. Some people, like I stated earlier, they might want to be on hormones their whole life and never get surgery. Like I know someone who has been on hormones for 2 years now, and when you're on HRT, you automatically develop breasts like a woman because you're pumping. It takes 2 months, and you've got A cups because you're pumping those hormones into your system. Yeah. But they don't want to get bottom surgery. Yeah. But they're still a woman.
Okay, so
it doesn't matter what's in your pants, right?
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
Yes.
If let's say, because I'm having a bit of a hard time with this on the basis that, yes, you can be transgender and legally you can switch your sex, right? Like legally, if I really wanted to, I'm sure within a year I could identify as a female. Like on my driver's license, I could say sex be female. It can. But I am never going to possess the chromosomes and the hormones of a female. So
that's where HRT replacement or testosterone replacement therapy comes in.
But it's never fully
it won't work 100% though, will it? Because I've read a lot of different things that some change this, some changes that, but you can never actually 100% change your gender and change all your hormones, change everything.
You're classified as a trans person, and you're in that classification just for the rest of your life. You should be proud of it.
Be proud of being who you are.
That's why people are allowed to not like it. Like, you're allowed to have your preference, not to have that trans like attraction, right? But
it's an interesting topic for sure. Because I mean,
the science is new, and
everything is.
Everyone's got their own opinion on it.
And that's exactly it.
You're allowed
as long as you're not hateful about it. And like you said, no, you're never going to switch your chromosomes ever, unless it's happened.
Be proud you're a trans person, right?
Exactly. Always be proud you're a trans person. And like you were saying, no, you can't ever fully change your chromosomes. That is correct. That's why transgender people are on hormones for the rest of their lives. But they accept that because doing that helps them. And it removes that dysphoria. And taking that injection every single day helps them feel like themselves.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It's very hard.
It's very hard. Our partner is a trans man. And it's just something that they accept about themselves because it's something that they know it's going to help their mentality. It's going to help them in the long run. No, you can't change your chromosomes because they're already set. You're born with certain chromosomes.
Unless, in 50 years, they come up with some crazy science.
That'd be cool.
It might happen, actually, but...
It might.
See, it might.
You're born with certain chromosomes, yes, but science and life is ever-changing, and so is gender and sexual identities. So, I mean...
It's not set in stone.
Nothing is ever set in stone. I mean, if these people are happy, which they are, that really should be all that
don't disrespect them by deadnaming them and calling them something they don't want to be.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Oh, yeah, you remind me of something I was going to say. I was going to say earlier, people who disrespect people by not calling them the respected pronouns, like us, say you, obviously you guys would never do this because you guys seem really, really cool. Say you guys decided to call me she, knowing I don't like it. I would look at you and say, all right, girl, what are you at, sis? She, her. I would start doing the same thing that you guys. Do it back. Don't be hateful.
The golden rule.
Golden rule. Don't be hateful. Tell them with kindness or do it right back.
People need to be taught the golden rule.
But what do you say to when people say, two wrongs don't make a right? Because
I agree with that.
Oh, I do agree with that.
Well, wait.
I agree with that.
That's a contradiction.
I agree. 2 wrongs don't make a right. But I'm petty.
So when it comes to turn the other cheek, you should definitely, but don't let people get away with treating you like garbage.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, I will just block the hate. But if you say you come after my partners or you come after one of my friends, that's when I get petty. There's a line you don't cross. I mean, some people cross that line and
they don't care.
They just don't care, and that's what I think is wrong. People don't care who they offend, and if you don't want to be offended, why are you offending somebody else? Because the moment someone offends you, you're getting super, super, super defensive. You give what you get.
Or there's the people that nothing offends them. So
Yeah, they just don't care.
They just don't care. And those, well, no, everybody gets offended.
I get offended. I get offended by bullies.
Yeah,
I hate bullies.
Bullies are triggering.
Kind of taking a turn, but still in the gender area, and I think this is going to be our last topic because my computer is about to blow up and we're running on time. So, obviously, me and Connor, we have this is a sports channel, so this is a different direction, but still tying in sports. How do you feel transgender people should be placed in? For example, we love basketball, so how would the best let's say, do you know any basketball players?
I do.
Well, a popular one, LeBron James. Have you ever heard of
you mean like I didn't know personally.
I know some personally.
yeah, no worries. So let's say LeBron James just wanted to change to be a female. Should he be allowed to play in the WNBA, or should he be?
Okay, this might come across as this might be controversial, but this is my own belief. There should be the NBA, the WNBA, and the TNBA.
National basketball.
The Transnational Basketball League.
Because women are their own classification.
Exactly. Trans women are their own classification of women, and most trans women, before their transition, like your example, LeBron James, if he were to become a she would have 20 million times more experience than more strength and experience than another WNBA player. Yeah. And in all honesty, I do believe that it's not exactly fair, but I mean, it comes down to respect and human rights. That's why I think there should be trans inclusive versions of these things for every type of sport.
Well, okay, I can somewhat understand what you're saying. Personally, and again, this is a personal belief, right? But I think if you are, let's say if you are LeBron James and you want to be a transgender female, I think you should still be playing in the NBA personally. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like,
because at the end of the day, I don't want to say like it's never going to happen, that there's not going to be some sort of trans NBA or something.
I can see that happening.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Maybe, but it's, in my opinion, I think it's extremely unlikely that.
When it comes to that, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Oh.
Like you completely.
Sorry, I thought you were still talking.
So when it comes to that, like trans people are mostly born with like different chromosomes, right?
Yeah.
So a guy like LeBron definitely doesn't have those chromosomes.
No.
No,
right?
he's 6'8", 220 pounds. He'd be the tallest and the heaviest player in the WNBA.
The testosterone in that guy is so it's crazy.
He wouldn't fit in with the WNBA, and I know this is going to come across as mean.
He doesn't have that physical
He would have to be in a league in his own or continue in the NBA because he would outweigh and outclass the women of the WNBA, which is a sad reality that does happen in the sports world with trans people all the time. That's why, in my personal belief, there should be trans inclusive sports where they have their own little
But when it comes to sport, like UFC and stuff, like weight class it's
all about weight class.
Weight class is is a thing, right? Like you can have a 210-pound trans man fighting a 210-pound cis man. Yeah. Right.
Same with vice versa.
Would that be able to happen? Probably more evenly matched than the basketball, where everyone's just all different varieties.
Weight class is weight classes are very important, but sadly most sports don't have weight classes. It'd be cool if they did, though.
Is there a maximum weight limit for the NBA?
No, definitely not. You should see some of these 14-year-olds that are coming in. They're taller and heavier than me already. It's really sad. It's disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a gray area where they fit in sports.
Sports for them is definitely hard.
Yeah, it's hard because their chromosomes are all
everything exactly. All the chromosomes are mixed and matched.
You can probably add chromosome tests to sports if you want to add trans people to it more inclusively.
That takes a lot of money, though.
Yeah,
a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. Last question before we let you go. Actually, second to last, but anyways. So in 2018, a girl by the name of Rachel McKinnon, she won the first basically she was a male, transgender female, and she competed in a cycling world championship. She won. Now, she got a lot of backlash from this because a lot of people said she was cheating. A lot of people said,
I remember this.
Be this, she's, this and that. What are your thoughts on this?
Personally, and I might offend somebody for saying this within my own community, and I apologize in advance to my friends and family, but I'm sorry, she had been training for a very long time as her male counterpart, as her male dead self. She had a far better chance of keeping her stamina and with all of her training as the male counterpart.
Yeah.
In all honesty, she...
In the race of life, they were way up here, physically.
And everyone else was kind of down here. She had a major advantage. So she didn't necessarily cheat, per se.
Just had a better chance.
A better chance and a higher advantage. Like if these other women had have done the training that she did, maybe they would have beaten her, you know? It's just
would have been a lot closer.
I mean, they would have gotten a lot closer. I mean, they were just jealous. I mean, yes, she had slightly stronger chromosome muscles from her chromosomes, but honey, I've seen bodybuilders that could put Arnold Schwarzenegger to shame, and they got bigger tits than me. So, what's your excuse? She didn't cheat. She just had a slightly better advantage.
Yeah, it's like if somebody had like a steroid advantage or something.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it. Really, it's like a steroid.
I think it is an advantage, though. I do think.
Oh yeah, it's an advantage. It's a physical advantage.
Yeah.
It's an advantage.
Like makeup. That's just.
Here's a prime example.
Like it is a fact.
I did judo for many years. If I were to go into a tournament and class myself as a yellow belt when I am obviously not a yellow belt, I would beat all the yellow belts. That's cheating. That's cheating.
Yeah.
But if I just happen to train at home and do some extra workouts and stuff like that, and then still be the same level as them and still win, that's just a higher advantage.
Yeah.
It all depends on you yourself giving yourself that advantage.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So no, she didn't cheat.
Well, we appreciate you both taking the time. Again, this podcast went a lot longer than we thought, but I guess it's kind of a good thing in a way. We're educating people.
Yes,
Anyways,
and we'll be saying it all over.
Yeah. Anyways, again, you can find us on Instagram and YouTube at the Lawn Chair Lads. Thanks again to both Alex and Lydia for coming on. And again, hopefully we can do this again down the road.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you so much for having us. You guys stay safe, and we hope to do it again.
Hands on relief, pop it for me, please. Hands on your knees.